Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Licensed to Roam, where I'll be providing content on football tactics and analysis on European football and the beautiful game from across the globe. You can follow me on Twitter/X at Edward Stratman. And if you enjoyed the video, would really appreciate a like, subscribe, and any comments as I get started and hope to grow the channel. Right, for this analysis, I'll be focusing on Chelsea star Ben Chilwell and his exceptional performance in the Blues smashing cup win over Middlesbrough in what was his first start in 4 months. Looking like he'd never been away and hardly putting a foot wrong on his injury comeback, there was much to like about the captain's brilliant outing with his movement, intelligence, reading of the play, experience, leadership, and technical qualities shining brightly. Obviously, to start with his movement and the way he ventured in field was a key aspect of his display, as well as his runs in behind, which was an ongoing theme. But we'll start with the indenting movement, which you can see now. It just caused a lot of havoc coming in from that nominal left back post. And in this situation, it's paved the way for Mudryk to receive freely and be 1v1 and face and then run in behind with that momentum advantage. And it just allowed Chilwell to attack the spaces in between defenders and just cause a lot of issues for marking assignments on who should go to him. And just really it wreaked havoc throughout for Borough. They just really couldn't sort of come to terms with it and find a viable solution or pattern to stop him. Here's another situation here where he's drawing the marker. The marker's in two minds what to do. Obviously, he's followed Chilwell because he's so dangerous in that central area. And then Chilwell's obviously opened the lane to Mudryk to receive with a head of steam up and just keep that run surging in behind. So really clever. He knows what's going on around him, follows the manager's instructions really well to get the best outcomes for the team and the players in the system. There's another situation where he's just edging in field to create the overload and the positional superiority there. Just notice how Fernandez pinning that marker there too makes that space, and he's just ready to edge in behind. He's surveying the surroundings, scanning what's going on, looking at spaces that open up, and so he can arrive in different areas. Just when he sees that preoccupation or the ball watching, he's ready to pounce. So that was a really cool aspect of his performance. Just so smart and reading the play so intelligently. Obviously, in this one here, you can see he's edged in to form that overload. Really clever. It's an initial 3v2, but a broader 6v5. Obviously, the defenders are really worried about Fernandez's decoy run there, and also Broja, and also Mudryk. So there's just so much to worry about. And obviously, Colwill on the ball. So he's just edged into that pocket, found the space so well, and all the chaos for Borough's marking assignments, and managed to get away with space to turn and face. And then there's just a plethora of options in Chelsea's attacking framework there for him to find. Here's another example of him edging infield, and he'd essentially noticed Fernandez. Their rotations were quite a nice theme of the match too, and he's essentially playing as a centre forward there after that interchange. And it just really throws a spanner in the works once again for Borough and how to deal with these situations. Another one here where he's just performed that interchange with Fernandez, ready to duck into that space out the back. So, and you can see there, which was another really important feature of his play, that leadership and the constant communicating and gesturing with his teammates, just to show his presence there. His experience and leadership was very vital, especially with Chelsea having so many young players. Just gave them that bit of extra direction. Here's just another example of how well he dovetailed with Fernandez. They've done that little interchange already, altered the reference points, caused problems on who should mark him, and that frees up Mudryk to receive the third man combination. Another one here, Chilwell's pulled out wide in this situation. Mudryk and Broja pinning markers. There's obviously Broja's pinning too, so they're not quite sure what to do. They don't want to leave him 1v1 essentially to run in behind. So Fernandez just darts into that space, and they can cause a really nice overload for him to use his passing mastery on the ball to wreak havoc in the final third. Here's another one where he's just so comfortable and composed in possession, which was really impressive considering he'd been out for so long and just this was his first start. So the way he's happy to draw the press and then just time that pass into Caicedo, who can complete the third man combination while forming that 4v3. And they can just beat the press quite effectively there. As we look to the next one, obviously while Chelsea were in a nominal back four, Chilwell would often edge in field and just to form a three. So they'd often morph into shapes like a 3-2-4-1, like you can see on your screen. And it also helped, whilst it was giving them fluidity and helping them progress the ball smoothly, it also was quite a good idea with Mudryk giving away the ball quite sloppily many times in that first half, which saw Borough able to create quite a few decent openings on the counter attack. So that was a nice little tweak and adaptation that was used. Moving on to his diagonal runs in behind, these were just a huge weapon of his throughout and something Borough really couldn't come to grips with. Here's another fine example where he edges in field, waits for all the opponents just to see what they're going to do, see who they're marking, see which spaces are open, see where his teammates are positioned. And this is so clever how he just spins into that gap there so smartly, really cunning movement just to get in behind there. They just had no answer for this throughout the game. Another situation where he times the run really well. Obviously, coming from that back three shape, was important to pick and time when to join in the attacking phases and get into that final third. And he did that masterfully, just waiting for the right moment. This was a prime occasion. Mudryk's ventured in field, drawn a host of markers. Chilwell exploits that space, ready to latch onto the ball and use his wizardry in the final third and receive in that forward-facing posture to continue his momentum. Here's another one. A brilliant little piece of play, this, where he ventures off to the left where the arrow starts and then does a little circle, runs back in, gathers his momentum so he can hit the run in behind with speed, gain that separation. His obviously opponent was much more stationary. So in this situation, he probably could have almost won a penalty, but he completely caught the marker off guard to break in behind. And just a testament to how good he was, this particular passage. Another one here where he's stretching the defence, adding width and depth to the attack. Notice that the two forwards, Broja and Mudryk, have drawn their opponents short, sees the space to run in behind, and he immediately gets on his bike to do just that. Another situation here where he's just those diagonal out to in runs, constantly causing issues for the defenders, able to exploit the blind side, use his dynamic advantage just to be that deep threat, which was so vital, especially against the Borough defence that were sitting deep for a lot of the game. Here, this is a particularly excellent little bit of play here, where he proved the catalyst for Broja's goal. Received the ball, brilliant little dribble to weave past. Then he had the composure and just a sense of mind and the timing to thread this beautiful little through ball into Sterling, who set up Broja. His role in this passage was the catalyst for that goal. This just gives you a great sort of idea of how sure he was in possession and accomplished he was with the ball at his feet, handling pressure situations so well, never phased, never rushed. He completed 39 of his 40 attempted passes, so just gave Chelsea that little bit of comfort and just that calming presence to make it all happen. And if progressive pass wasn't on, he wouldn't play it. He was happy recycling possession and just doing what's best for the team to retain possession. Here's just an example of his heat map that he mixed things up, altered his position quite well between obviously inside and outside and in the half spaces too when need be. Here's a pass connections map here that just shows sort of where he got a lot of his touches and who he combined with mostly, which sort of is quite telling. That little infield positioning, which we discussed, is quite obvious there. There's another average positioning map just showing how he was in that indented position all of the time, and just the interactions he had with Enzo Fernandez and Mudryk was really important. And obviously Colwill as well, the nearby defender. So very important player in this match, and there was definitely a lot to like about Chilwell's movement and the relationships with his teammates. Obviously, he did some really good defensive work despite Chelsea dominating the ball for large chunks. He was covering runners nicely, supporting his colleagues, supporting Colwill well. Some really good tackles and counter pressing and back to goal pressure when opponents dropped deep. So that was really impressive to see. And a couple of other stats too. Obviously, he completed all his passes but one, as mentioned. And he won 12 of his 16 overall duels, won all 7 of 7 defensive duels, 4 interceptions, 4 ball recoveries, 2 clearances. And also he caught the eye with those trademark, elegant, strong driving runs where he's just so balanced, withstands pressure so well with that low centre of gravity to maraud upfield with those slaloming runs that really effectively gain territory for his team, but also pin and draw foes to open up space for others, just like in his goal involvement. A constant threat in the side of Borough before his substitution in the 65th minute. This was a superb first start since September for Chilwell, as he was one of only 2 members of the 2021 Champions League winning team in Pochettino's side for this one. A valuable figure on the pitch due to his leadership, which saw him communicate and gesture with his teammates to set the standard with his authoritative presence. He gave this direction and almost acted like a coach out on the field for a lot of those younger players too, which accompanied his dynamic movement and brilliance on the ball throughout his time of field, looking really sharp and getting a standing ovation from the delighted home crowd. Chilwell will be eager to keep this momentum going as he's got his sights set on making the England squad for the Euros and on enjoying a really good run of form while he stays healthy, underlying what a superb player he is, what a key man he'll be for Pochettino's Chelsea, and just what a force he is when he's fully fit and firing. All associated with the club will be hoping he can keep going from strength to strength following his welcome return. Right, that's the end of the analysis. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Would really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video and have a great day. Stay tuned for the next analysis.